Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So good to see you. Sorry for the downtime in between uploads. I've been like mega busy on my other channel, but it's been good. It's a good kind of busy. But it means hobby channel has to sort of like take a back seat for a little bit. But tonight I'm back with another video. It has been a while since I recorded one, so I kind of overlooked something a little bit important, and I had my wife pour a blind for me because today we are doing double oaked products. And there's a number of toasted barrel double oaked products, whether they're toasted or not, but they're double oaked, and I've got a bunch of bottles on my shelf that are double oaked because I really like double oaked products. So I told my wife, I gave her a list, and I said, pick 4, pour them, and underneath the coaster slide the name of that whiskey. So I'm gonna blind them, rank them, and then we'll review what they are, and we'll see what the best one was, and maybe that'll be a recommendation, I suppose, for you to go out and try. But the thing I overlooked was that my camcorder is not charged. It's on a dead battery. So after she poured that stuff, I set it all up, I hit record, and nothing happened. So I'm back up at my desk. The glasses are behind me on my table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to grab them. But I have gone ahead and taken B-roll footage of all those glasses, and you'll see me go grab them. So I promised Scout's Honor. Yeah, I was not a Boy Scout, so I said Scout's Honor, and then my hand went to do something that would indicate that I. But I don't know what that salute is. But anyways, I promise. Is that what it is? Scout's Honor? I don't know. I'm making up as I go. But I will honor the integrity of this. I don't know what these are, but we'll try them, we'll rank them, and see how it goes. Took B-roll footage so you can see the color on each and every one of these as I go through them. So I'm going to start with what would have been on my left, glass A, if I was sitting in front of them. All right, here we go. Double oaked products. And I have a number of them on my shelf. I tend to like double oaked products because I'm a sucker for a good mature oak flavor. I love those vanillins that you get out of that. I love the tannic sweetness, like that combination of both dry and sweet, like together, that you get with like a mature oak, which I love. Now, oh man, so the hardest thing for me is gonna be like not guessing. That's always my biggest hurdle when I blind things, is like as soon as I smell it, as soon as I taste it, my brain starts going through the list of things that are on my shelf and trying to figure out what it might be. So the nose on this one has a little bit of yellow fruit, but I'm getting a decent bit of ethanol, a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweet, like leather and a wood shop. You walk into a wood shop and there's sawdust in the air, and that's the smell you get. I like that. Let's try it. There's a fair bit of spice on that one, actually. There's a little bit of spice in there. The double oaked, I get like that toasted barrel kind of a vibe on the very end of it, like the last thing it says on its way out the door. You know what I mean? And that kind of lingers for a little bit on the end. But up front, I got a little bit of clove, a little bit of spice. Yeah, that dry sweetness on the very end lingers for quite a bit. That's delightful. We're starting out strong tonight. I like that a lot. And that's another thing you get with a lot of double oaked products. This like dry mouth feel at the very end. You know what I mean? Like it's not something like, like a Booker's would like really coat your mouth, really thick, really viscous. This is like it's kind of the opposite, kind of a drying effect for the mouthfeel. Overall, that's quite tasty. Let's move on to number 2. Glass number 2. Beautiful sort of auburn color on that one. Nose is much different. A little bit of like a barrel funk on this one, Kind of reminds me of like a... there are some bottles to me that always have that characteristic barrel funk to them. For me, like Knob 12 is one of them. Like Knob 12, anytime I smell a Knob 12, Knob Creek 12, that I get a lot of that barrel funk, which I love that note. A little bit of barrel funk here, like it was just sitting in a damp corner of a warehouse, you know what I mean? The ethanol's not right up in your face like the last one was on the nose. A little bit subtler. Even like a little bit of like circus peanut candies on the nose too. Let's go in on it. This is already hard for me because my palate is telling me a bottle right now. I want to try very hard not to guess. Well, not yet at least. I want to go through the whole experience. I'll share some notes on it, and then maybe at the very end I'll tell you what my guess on this one is as I rank these at the end. But I think my brain's already going to a barrel on a bottle on my shelf. like sweet caramel candies up front, a little bit of vanilla. I don't get quite as long of that that lingering oak that the first one gave me, but it is a little bit more subtle, a little more palatable. That barrel funk does come through on the palate as well, sort of present there. Not in a bad way. I always say funk. I think most people think of funk as like a bad thing, but I can always get down with a little funk. Similar dry mouthfeel. But yeah, that's not quite as in your face as the first one. It's a little more, it's got like more manners, you know, and which doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Sometimes you want something that's like a little brash, a little honest, you know what I mean? Like, listen, this is who I am, deal with it, you know? And some whiskeys are like that. Other whiskeys are a little more polite. They're like, pardon me, sir, this is the person that I am. How do you feel about that? You know what I mean? This one's a little more polite. That circus peanut note kind of carries through as well. It is a somewhat dry mouthfeel. And the finish is just a little bit of sweetness, but mostly just dry. And it doesn't linger quite as long as the first. Let's move on. Glass number 3. The nose on this one isn't as forward as the last two. The last two, like, I had an immediate impression when I went in on it, you know what I mean? Like, immediately I had an impression of some kind. The nose on this one is a little more subtle, but I'm getting a little bit of like a roasted toffee peanut note on that nose. Not big and bold, just subtle. A little bit of dry oak on the nose, not a lot of ethanol heat. Yeah, that toffee roasted peanut note is probably the most prevalent thing I get. Actually, this one coats the glass a little bit better than the last two in terms of like viscosity. Let's try it. Yeah, sometimes after you've gone in for a taste and you're kind of in the finish and you close your mouth and you exhale through your nose and some of that air circulates in your palate at the same time as you exhale. If I do that, I get peanut, like very forward, right there on the back of my tongue. Peanut. A little bit of toffee, very dry though. But this one does have, it's like the dry flavor, but not necessarily the dry mouthfeel, if that makes sense. Like the taste is dry on my tongue, but the mouthfeel is a little bit thicker than the last two. Second and third sips are really pleasant, actually. This one, the more I drink it, the more I like it. You know, at first it was like I didn't have a strong impression, but the more I drank it, the more those notes kind of slowly opened up a little bit over time. That roasted peanut note is quite nice, and it does stick around. That's like the most lingering part of this sip to me, is that like toffee roasted peanut. Quite good. Let's move on to the last one. Glass number 4. I'm gonna swing here for the fences. I'm gonna tell you that on the nose, I think I know what bottle this is. There are 2 bottles or 2 glasses that I've tried tonight. 2 pours that I'm not too sure what they are. And there are 2 that my brain like immediately went somewhere. I'll reveal them after I rank them. I'll tell you what those 2 are in my head, but I'm pretty sure I know what this is. And there's a reason for it, because for me, like a lot of times, I go through seasons where I reach for the same bottle more often than not. And then it kind of falls out of favor with me for a while. I'm reaching for other stuff. I get into different rhythms. And so what I'm doing during that season that I'm reaching for that specific bottle, my brain kind of couples that bottle with what I was doing during that season in life. And I know this might sound a little ridiculous, but the second I smelled this, my brain went straight to the video game Skyrim, because late in the year, last year, 2022, I went through a season where I did another playthrough of Skyrim, and I reached for the same bottle for like most of that playthrough, because it's late at night, everyone's in bed. I pour myself a little bit of whiskey while I'm playing Skyrim before I want to go to bed, because you know what it's like to be a dude. You get to the end of the day, you worked 9 to 5, you did stuff for somebody else, right? You're working for the man, you're putting in your time, you're earning your cash. You go home, you know, and you help out with dinner, you're hanging out with the kids and the wife. You entertain the children and the dog. And then when the kids go to bed, it's time to invest in the wife, spend some time with her, just the 2 of you. She goes to bed, and here you are. You're like, I could go to bed, but I kind of want to do something for myself before I crash for the day. I've been doing stuff for other people. It's been great, don't get me wrong. But now I want to do something for me. And that was me. That was my me time, right? At the end of 2022, I was like, I'm going to play a new playthrough of Skyrim, and I'm going to sip a little bit of whiskey before I crash. That was a really long explanation for why I think I know what this is. But the second I smelled it, boom, it took me to a specific place and time, specific activity. That's why I think I know what this is. The nose is very brown sugar. It's all brown sugar. Not all brown sugar. Very much brown sugar and a lot of oak as well. You know, there's different varieties of oak. When you say, oh, I smell oak. Okay, what kind of oak? Was it like heavy char oak, where you get that charcoaly oak, burnt oak, kind of a campfire smell? For me, this is not that. This is like a toasty, like a toasted marshmallows come to mind. Like I'm sitting there roasting a marshmallow slowly over a campfire. You know what I mean? Brown sugar, toasted marshmallow on the nose, and that toasted oak. That's lovely. Let's go in on it. That's quite nice. It doesn't like hit you with that, like a high proof point. Lower on the proof. That brown sugar is like, it's just there from start to finish. It's the beginning of the taste, and at the end of the finish, that brown sugar is just sort of like the common note throughout all of it. And there's some other stuff that plays around it. So up front, it's that sweet brown sugar and rich buttery caramel. And that brown sugar note goes all the way through it, and then it transitions, and the framing around that brown sugar changes as you get to the finish, and the framing is all dry, toasted oak. You know what I mean? So it's like the brown sugar's a star, the framing of it changes from start to finish. Buttery caramel at the start, the finish, dry, toasted oak. It was quite good. All right, I'm going to put this one back down. I'm going to give a quick sip to the others, just to remind myself. I'm going to rank them, tell you the two that I think I know, and then we'll reveal them. And then we'll crown a winner and say, hey, this is the one. If you're going to go try a Double Oaked product, this is the one you should try. Sound good? My quick revisit on number one was really pleasant. You know, it's hard to really gauge number one the first time around. You're just opening up your palate. So it's really good to like go back and backtrack. And one was very nice on the second time around. It was tough for me because I actually really like all of these. There's not a single one that I tasted tonight that I was like, nah. You know, they're all quite nice. This is tough for me. I like all of these, but I think this is where I'm going to fall. I think glass number one takes my first place. I think glass number 4 takes my second place. I think glass number 2 takes my third place. And glass number 3 takes my fourth place. So the order there, from best to worst, is 1, 4, 2, 3. Now I told you I was going to make a couple of guesses. 2 of these, I'm not sure. I kind of have some bottles that are coming to mind, but I'm not sure on them. But the 2 that I think I know, I think that number 2 is Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. I think number 2 is Elijah Craig's Toasted. I think number 4 is Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, which I am a sucker for. That one took me straight to Sky. It's the one that took me straight to Skyrim, right? The second I smelled it, I was like, oh, this brings up memories. And so I think because I coupled those two in my head so immediately, that's what I think that one is. That one, if I was going to say, if there was one I was going to bet on, that's the one I'd bet on. I think number 4 is Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. But that took my second place. Number 1 took my first place. Shall we reveal them? I was about to reveal the first place one first. That's not how you do these things. I got to build up that anticipation. Let's see what the last place was. All right, let's do that first. The last place was, it's a Starlight. Boom. Starlight. If you're not familiar with Starlight, they've got some pretty good products. So this was a double oaked, here, boom. This is a double oaked bottle that they did. This one had a little heat on it. That's because this one's 113.8 proof. This is a single barrel product. It's a barrel pick that was done. But fourth place goes to Starlight Double Oaked. It's actually a pretty tasty whiskey. I reach for that every now and then. It's nice. Good pick, Steph. Fourth place, Starlight Double Oaked. All right. Third place. So this is glass number 2. This is the one I told you I thought this was guess number 1. I guessed that this was Elijah Craig Toasted. It is. Yeah. I nailed it. All right, 2 out of 4. Well, I suppose I'm counting my chickens before they hatch here. I can't say 2 out of 4 because we haven't revealed if I was right on the Woodford yet. But so far So far, 1 guess out of 4 ain't bad. That's Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. Boom. So 3rd place went to Elijah Craig Toasted. All right, 2nd place. This is the one I guessed was Woodford. Double oak. Let's see. So 3rd place is... Boom. Woodford Reserve. Double oaked. Listen, I'm going to be real with y'all. Woodford Reserve Double Oaked is a very solid bottle. Like, if you ever go to the liquor store, you're like, hey, I'm in the mood to buy something, you know what I mean? And you got $60 to blow. You go to the liquor store and there's just a wall of options and you're overwhelmed. For me, always a safe pick is Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. I think that that is just a fantastic bottle for the price point. You get a great taste. Like, every time I sip on that, that's a great sip. And like I said, I knew what that was because it took me straight to a specific memory, a specific place and time. You know what I mean? And that's great. I love when a whiskey has the capacity to do that. Like, it's got enough character, enough uniqueness that it can do that. It can jump out immediately and bring up a memory for you. Like, a lot of whiskeys out there, you'll have with a specific memory, but the whiskey itself is just maybe forgettable. Maybe it's a good whiskey, but it just sort of falls into the backdrop of all these other whiskeys that are doing that same thing. You know what I mean? And doing it just as well. Woodford Reserve Double Oaked is not one of those bottles. It has character, it has uniqueness. So when you sip it, you know what it is. Well, at least I did tonight. And it's always good. That brown sugar note through it all, framed by buttery caramel, followed by that dry tannic toasted oak. Fantastic. And a little toasted marshmallow on the nose. Man, how can you go wrong with that? That's a strong 2nd place. Now, the 1st place bottle. The number of double oaked products on my shelf are running out. You know what I mean? After we've already had these 3 revealed. So, I'm not going to make a guess now because that would be like cheating because, most of the double oaked products on my shelf have already been claimed. There's only, I think 3 left. Yeah, I think 3 left. I think I gave her a list of 6 and she picked 4. So now I have a guess as to what the 1st place one is, but that's because process of elimination and understanding what I tasted. But let's see what the 1st place was. 1st place goes to Penelope Toasted. That's a great bottle. Penelope Toasted. Yeah. Like I said, when my palate was warmed up, we'd been through all 4 pours. Then I went back and I tasted this one again, and it had a little more time to open up. Like, the second I tasted it, I was like, oh, compared to the last 3 things I just drank, this one stands out. Like, this one's just exceptional. And, Penelope, obviously, this is a char level 5 heavy toast, and it's 100 proof. So, right at that bottled and bond 100 proof standard. It's not a bottled and bond product, but yeah, it's right at that 100 proof standard. So you're getting a good quality whiskey. It's not super watered down, but man, what a great pour. Yeah, I'm very pleased with that. Can't go wrong with that. So if we've learned anything tonight, it's that I highly recommend that you have these on your shelf. You want to give somebody a sip that's gonna stand out. It's gonna make an impression, and it's gonna have a lot of those like toasty, double oaked qualities to them. Hey, those 2 are great picks: Penelope Toasted and Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. Both of them come in at about the same price point too. Well, the Penelope though, I think the Toasted is like $70, and the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked is usually about $60. I think it depends a little bit on where you are. The Penelope Toasted for me, I can get for $70, but because they don't distribute here in Michigan, I have to pay a little bit of like extra shipping costs and stuff like that. So for me, this one's a little bit harder to get just because I got to find it on the secondary at MSRP. Woodford Reserve Double Oaked, I can go into almost any liquor store nearby and just grab it. It's there. You know what I'm saying? So, double oaked products. Those are my recommendations. Thanks for tuning into the video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've had any of these and what you think of them. How would you have rated these if you knew what they are, and, and in your mind you're like, oh, I've tried those, I would have placed this one differently, that one differently. Let me know. I love differences in palates and learning what people really appreciate in a whiskey. So I think we all, a lot of us are very different in what we find pleasing. But there you have it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. Thanks so much to my Patreon supporters who are very faithfully supporting me in this channel. I really appreciate you guys too. Cheers. May you get better with age and live richly, my friends. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.